This is Splash, a free arts workshop based in Chattanooga, Tennessee. These videos are a series of remote art classes for youth and can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. This is number 65. Today we're doing experimental stuff, so grab your watercolors and pencils.
Hello, hello. How are you today? How you doing? I hope you have had a wonderful day so far. I'm Charlie Newton and this is Splash. So we're going to have another art class. Today we will work in watercolors and pencil. And so we want to mix drawing with watercolors. This is going to be very experimental. We may do 2 or 3 pictures or even more, I don't know. So this is going to be very experimental. I haven't done this type of painting before, but I've done a lot of watercolors. I've done a lot of abstracts. So I want to show you different possibilities with watercolors. So to do this, you're going to need some water, a container of water, a large container. I like my containers to be clear so that you can see if the water is dirty or not. You're going to need some paint brushes, maybe a flat brush, a wash brush, and a pencil, okay? And that's it. You will need a skinny brush as well, a round brush. And so let's just use the wash brush and the round brush. Are you ready to get started? Okay, let's get started. You know, this time I'm going to take my picture down. I'm using some paper that is a little bit off-white. You can see the difference in the paper here. This paper here has texture, and it's probably 90-pound paper. And I'm going to use some tape, some easy release tape. I just want to show you how to tape your paper down. So when taping your paper down, try to keep the tape even on all sides. Now I could measure this, but I'm not. Just try to make sure that this is even, the side. So don't just put the tape anywhere. And so when we tape our paper, and I'm looking through the paper, I can see through the paper to see if this edge is sort of even. So I'm taping all 4 sides. I just want to show you how to do this. I don't know if I'm going to tape the other paintings that we are going to do. I really call watercolor, we refer to it as drawing. Just a little classical way of referring to watercolors, because artists use watercolors in the beginning. Well, in the beginning there was watercolors, and they used watercolors for sketches, their sketches, to decide what colors they were going to use. And artists painted with egg tempera before oils were created. Now, different ways that this could be done. I think let's just do a wash. Let's pick maybe 2 colors or 3. We're going to use the paper as white, for white. I want this to be sort of monochromatic. Do yours any way you want to, but I want the paper pretty wet. And when the water hits the paper wants to draw up or contract, and the tape keeps the paper from doing that. So the tape actually stretches the paper. Now let's just wet the entire paper. This would be a better way to do it. Just wet the entire paper with water. Then decide which color you're going to use. I'm going to use brown. I already have placed some yellow on here. And so this is going to be a very ethereal, very meditative type of painting. And so I decided to just wet the entire paper so that the paper would stretch, and to get this type of feeling, a very thin wash feeling. Do I want some red? I don't know. Maybe I'll put some brown somewhere else on the picture. So the paper is very wet. My paper is really buckling and moving now. It wants to buckle, so the tape is sort of holding it down. Now, let's get a small brush. I think I'll use this brush here. This is a number 2. And just draw. Use any color you want to. Choose any color. But we're going to draw with a dark color, so I think I'll use purple. But you can use any color you want to and draw something. Just some shapes, maybe. Abstract. This is abstract. So this is sort of an abstract expressionist, modern type of feel. I'm going to get another brush, a wider brush, round brush, larger. This is a number 6. So I'm using purple. I'm going to go back to some of my other colors. So this is when you start playing with the painting. Now, by my using a number 6 round brush, that gives me more leeway to play, more control. If I had gone back to my wash brush, the larger brushes give you less control. So now you're just trying to make an interesting painting. And I'm painting wet on wet. I keep shaking my brush off in the water to make sure my brush stays wet. Now, I'm going to get a soft brush, maybe a wider. So when doing abstract pieces, you have to use everything you've learned, everything that you know. And I like for the picture to tell me what to do. Now, I could begin to use my blow dryer if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. I could dry some areas, but I'm just going to keep it wet. Remember to shake your brush off every time you change colors. Keep your colors clean. The colors on your palette, keep them clean. The colors in your tin. Like I said, this isn't the type of painting that I do personally, but the more you do, the better you get. If I did about 100 of these, it would look better than it does now. So what I do is I go back to what I know to try to make it work. But the main thing I want you to learn today is the wet on wet technique with drawing. We drew with paint. And it's non-objective. This picture doesn't actually mean anything. I don't know what it is. It's a painting. That's what it is. It's only a painting. Now I may go back and do some more drawing. I think I'm going to use black now. So I drew with purple, and now I'm drawing with black. I have a thin brush. This type of brush is called a liner brush. So you notice that the hairs are very long and thin. Now I could allow myself to be influenced by landscapes. So you could have done this without using lines. And I went darker than I wanted to in that area. So what I'm going to do is get a paper towel. I think I'll get some Kleenex. Kleenex is nice for blotting. Now I'm going to pull the tape up. Oh, I think I put my name on here. I think I'll write my name with a pencil if this area is dry. Don't press down hard if you write your name with a pencil. You should wait till the picture dry. So don't do what I just did. Wait till the pencil dry. Wait till the paper dry. So I'm going to hang my tape off the edge of the table to reuse for the next picture. So this next picture will be more free-flowing, not so contrived. Let me see what we come up with. So a picture like this, very decorative. Again, it's not my cup of tea, but it's worth experimenting with. You never know what you're going to like doing So I suggest you experiment all the time. I'm just reusing the same tape. If the paper will be drawn out up, so it could pull out from beneath the tape, and I really don't mind. I just want a semblance of a border. So I'm using the opposite side of this tape. So before I used this side, so this side is still wet. So now I'm using the opposite side. That way I can reuse the tape and I can keep going fast. I don't have to slow down. I'm trying to put my tape on here very even without measuring. So now I'm going to get a large round brush. This is a sablette. So it's a synthetic sable brush. I'm just going to use a lot of water. This time I didn't wet the paper first. I'm just making sure that a lot of water is in my brush. I just dab this in the blue, just the point, because I want a very light blue. So I just dab the point of this brush into the blue. Now I'm going to spread the blue. And you can try some of the other techniques that we use too, like splattering. I might splatter the drawing. So we're drawing with the brush. Now I'm going to put the blue down here on the bottom, and when it mixes with the yellow, it'll turn green. And I think I want a little bit of brown. And let's get some red for fun. So when doing this kind of drawing, just experiment. Keep experimenting. You can do whatever you want to. So you really can. And you're going to come up with different things. And some of you will come up with some things that I never thought of. And that's good. I just like using round brushes for all of my work, even my major paintings and oils. I use more round brushes these days because I can control the line better and the edge. Okay, now I'm going to splatter, start using splatters and see what that looks like. You can flip it like that. So This brush is very springy, so it's easy to splatter. Now this brush, being a number 6, is going to make a wider line. Gonna get my liner brush again, long thin brush. So I've discovered some type of motif here. So I'm repeating it, these squiggly lines like that, inside of 2 lines. Now, as long as I keep everything from center to the bottom of the page, it makes me think of a landscape, a barren landscape. I don't necessarily want to think of anything, but it's okay to think of something and reference it, just a hint of it. A hint of a thought is fine. Okay, so that's non-objective painting number 2. We're practicing drawing with paints. We're practicing drawing. A traditional way of painting realism is to put a thin wash of paint down and draw with the brush. Instead of drawing with a pencil. I'm going to do another one. And this time I'm going to use the same type of paper, I think. Assembly paper. And this time, I'm going to allow myself to do something that I might do next, my style. But I'm still going to draw with paint. So when I say my style, it's not going to be non-objective. I'm going to allow myself to think of something and draw with the paint. I like using brown, so I'm going back to brown. I don't know what I'm going to draw yet, so I'm not in a hurry to decide what I'm going to draw. I just want to go about it a different way in my mind. So I'm still thinking about balance and those types of things. But now I'm actually going to try to express myself my way and see what happens. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more interesting, the picture itself. Now, you notice I'm working fast, and that's because I'm working with water, and water dries. So I'm working, still want to work wet on wet. So now I'm going to draw. I'm going to use a larger brush to draw with to make it more difficult for me to draw. And I think I'll use black like we've been doing. So this drafting table, is at an incline, so the paint is going to flow down naturally. Now, these same techniques you would use for anything. I'll show you. I'll give you a quick demonstration after this one. It's the same thing, whether it's realistic or abstract. It's just drawing. It's just painting. So you need the same techniques, the technical ability. And that's how you can tell if an artist has really dedicated himself to his craft. However, if you don't look at art, you know, it'll be difficult for you to tell. So I suggest looking at art in museums and galleries and wherever you can see art, on social media. For this stroke, it was very important that I use paint that's already on the paper. I thought about using that one for this stroke, but no, I can't use that for this stroke, but I can use that for this one, this stroke. So you notice my approach is a lot more bold than the techniques we were just using. It's different. It's higher contrast, more contrast. But you do it your way. Okay, this is about finished for me. I just put some water on my brush. I see a possibility in this area. Something might be interesting to do. I can get some tissue paper. Just let it soak that up a little bit. And that's it. So this comes off looking a little bit more like abstract expressionism. I'm more pleased with that one than my other ones. Let's do another one. Sometimes in class, when my advanced students show me things, I can see that, okay, what they're doing is really good, but it's only the beginning. A lot of times we don't understand that the more you do, the better you get. So it's like you begin a search or an investigation, and you see where it takes you. So I think I'll wet the paper this time. I may do 2 drawings of the same thing. Remember, we call this drawing when we're using watercolors. So I'm going to wet the paper. I don't mind if the paper buckle. I kind of like it, actually. I don't want a whole lot of control over what's going on. I want the paint to move around the way it wants to move around. So I'm wetting the paper real good so that I won't have a lot of control, but I want you to see different possibilities. I'm going to go back to my number 6 brush. I'll be using the point of the brush and the side. And I'm just going to, I think I'll start with black this time. Wow, I really don't have any control. Look at that. Wow. That's what happens when you put a lot of water on the paper. So I'm not going to be able to do what I thought I was going to do. Isn't that fun? So I changed my mind when I made that mark. I wasn't going to do this, but the picture said, no, this, I want to be this. So now the picture is this. Isn't that fun? Remember, have fun and be willing to change. The hardest thing for an adult to do is to change. So as an artist, that's the thing that we wrestle with. How do we leave ourselves open for change and to discover something maybe we didn't do before, didn't know before, do something we never did. Now for somebody, that will be your art style. You can do this and sell these. Okay, to the next picture. I like that one. Now maybe I'll do what I was going to do at first, but I can't put so much water on the paper. I had no control. Okay, I'm not going to wet the paper so much this time. I'll just use a large brush with a lot of water in the brush, but the whole paper won't be so wet, the entire paper. So my brush is very wet, but the paper itself is not. I'm wetting the paper with the brush. And I think I'm going to keep using this brush because, again, I'm trying to handicap myself so I don't have so much control. The last time I had no control at all because there was so much water on the paper. So there was no way I could control that. And length of time. I want to cause things to happen with this one, but I don't want total control, because I don't want it to look contrived, even though. So by using a wet brush, I don't have complete control, and so the picture can still, appear to be loose. Can anybody see what I'm doing yet? So you can see we're using the same techniques. We're using the same techniques. However, I decided to make this form into a profile, form into a face. Let's do another black. We'll do one more. I'm going to do one more. And then I'm going to let you go. Just lay that to the side. And I'm going to try to remember a place, think about a place I've been with this one. I'm approaching it the way a Chinese person might approach an ink drawing. But I'm going to use black watercolors. I'm just using the side of my brush, and sometimes I'll use the point. See how I'm using the side? And that's how I'm getting the gradations. Sometimes the brush will go dry, like in these areas, and that's fine. I think I used the same brush for this entire picture. Excuse me. So this could very well be ink. Excuse me. This could very well be ink. Now I want to do too much to it now. I have to tell myself stop. I tell myself to stop. Because sometimes less is more. It's sort of like it's an impression, and you have to know when to stop. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, to know, and that's when to stop. I could add a color to it, one color, to make it something different. I won't though. So all I need to add now is my name. You know what? I've had fun. This has been fun. And I'm finished. There's nothing left to do but let this painting dry. I would not blow dry this painting. I hope that you have had fun experimenting with your watercolors and using drawing techniques, utilizing your brush instead of a pencil. Practice this. In every class, see it as practice, and on your own, you'll come up with something wonderful. This has been Charlie Newton, and this has been Splash. And as usual, never forget, art is for everyone. Bye-bye.